From multiple inmates, the sheriff makes an announcement.
As your sheriff, I take full accountability for this failure.
Suspending her re-election campaign while still pushing to raise the jail's budget.
For some on the run, this wasn't their first escape. We look at the history of those who were able to break out.
A late season cold front moving in on Wednesday morning. Expect only a slight drop in humidity.
New developments in the tragic shooting death of a 9-year-old girl.
I was upset. I was hurt, sad.
As her mother remembers the child who's now become another victim of gun violence. This is WWL Louisiana News at 10.
Breaking tonight, we are seeing large-scale searches across the metro area 5 days after 10 inmates escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail. The latest tonight in St. Roch.
Earlier, we do know a 5th inmate was caught less than 2 miles from the Orleans Parish Jail. Corey Boyd, you see on your screen right now, was taken into custody.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Devin Bartolotta.
And I'm Charisse Gibson. Sheriff Susan Hudson has announced that she will temporarily suspend her re-election campaign, saying, quote, "I cannot spend a moment putting politics over your needs, and now is the time to focus on security, accountability, and public safety."
This comes as people all across the area are seeing law enforcement swarm their neighborhoods, continuing to hunt for those still on the run. Lily Cummings is in St. Roch right now, where drones and helicopters have been hovering. Lily, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Devin and Charisse, they seem to be narrowing in on one home behind me here at Marigny and North Galvez. I'm going to take a step here out of the way so our photojournalist Robin can show you exactly what we're looking at. We have seen Louisiana State Police as well as SWAT and NOPD on the scene. As you mentioned, at least 3 drones were in the air at one point. We also have 1 helicopter circling the area. But this is not the first scene that we've been at just tonight. The search for escaped Orleans inmates has stretched to the North Shore. Tuesday evening, neighbors captured several SWAT and Louisiana State Police vehicles near Foxcroft Street and Kings Point Boulevard in Slidell.
I got a call from the neighbor across the street that we were told everyone needs to stay inside.
State police say none of the inmates were found during the investigation, but neighbors say they heard authorities shouting for someone to come out of this house with their hands up.
For them to be up in here, obviously they must have got some kind of tip.
We observed FBI inside this home collecting evidence. Less than 2 hours later in New Orleans, this apartment complex near Iberville and Basin became the next hotspot. This time, Louisiana State Police captured a 5th inmate, 19-year-old Corey Boyd. Authorities say they believe the remaining inmates are all in the New Orleans metro area. As law enforcement continues to chase leads, this Slidell resident says he's not scared. Do you feel safe in your neighborhood?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. By all means, I do. It's just, like I said, everybody watches out for each other.
And obviously tonight is a reflection that law enforcement are taking every tip serious. They are out here again in the St. Roch neighborhood right now. So we've seen them in Slidell, we've seen them in Treme, now St. Roch tonight. Again, any tip that you send into FBI, Crime Stoppers, or State Police, you could get a reward up to $20,000. We have all of the information on who to contact and how to contact them at WWLTV.com. Reporting live from St. Roch, Lily Cummings, WWL Louisiana.
Lily, a very active and busy scene behind you, so they may be zeroing in on someone. Hopefully we get updates from you later on in the show, and we will continue to check in with Lily. But each escapee that is caught is being placed in state custody and won't be heading back into the Orleans Justice Center. Today, state police released these pictures of the 4 that were found yesterday and Friday as they were booked into Angola.
In your breakdown, 2 of the inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center have been on the run before. Kendall Miles, who was the first to be taken back into custody after the escaped from the Bridge City Center for Youth back in 2022. That's when investigators believe he nearly killed a man, shooting Scott Toops. Miles was awaiting trial on attempted second-degree murder and other serious charges. And it's not the first rodeo for Antoine Massey, who has not been caught. In 2017, he pleaded guilty to aggravated flight from an officer. In 2019, he escaped from Morehouse Detention Center just outside of Monroe. He was captured the same day in Texas. In 2024, he pleaded guilty after cutting off his ankle monitor. Massey was in jail this latest time on charges of domestic abuse involving strangulation and stealing a vehicle. A maintenance worker at the jail apparently named Massey after his arrest, claiming Massey threatened to shank him if he didn't help with the escape.
Well, that maintenance worker is Sterling Williams. He was arrested after telling investigators he turned the water off outside the cell. The inmates then saw through the steel bars that were behind the sink toilet combo to escape. Now, again, he claims he was threatened by Massey, and Williams has been booked with 10 counts of principal to simple escape and 1 count of malfeasance in office. His bond was set at $1.1 million.
Today, Sheriff Hudson was grilled by city council members about the escape as they questioned why it took her officer 8 hours to realize these inmates were missing.
Now, she placed some blame on staffing and infrastructure issues, and now city leaders are fighting over who should pay to fix the problem.
Whitney Miller explains why this decades-old dispute seems to still be impacting public safety today.
With inmates still on the run, Sheriff Susan Hudson says she needs $13 million to secure the jail and prevent another escape.
I take full accountability.
But Hudson also blamed the jail's crumbling infrastructure and a lack of funding for creating the conditions that made the escape possible.
The building was built the way it was built, and that's what we've been dealing with, and we've been sounding the alarm about that.
City council members say they're willing to help, but not without more transparency.
It makes all of our lives easier if we're using the same systems to track funding.
The sheriff's office uses a separate budgeting system. Council members want her to join the city software brass, but Hudson resisted, saying the antiquated system doesn't meet OPSO needs.
It just makes no sense that in the midst of this debacle, they're arguing about computers talking to each other.
Councilman Josey says the debate is decades old. His own grandfather had similar battles with past sheriffs.
My grandfather used to yell at Charlie Fody about his budget all the time because he came in with 1 page. So this has been an argument for 50 years.
Political analyst Clancy Dubose says the problem is bigger than software.
Classic New Orleans dysfunction.
And he says it's the public who pays the price.
It is a damn shame. It really is. The citizens of this community, we all deserve better.
Hudson says she's asked the state for help, but it seems until there is more transparency, this decades-old cycle shows no signs of stopping.
This isn't the 1970s anymore. This is an age when people have had it up to here with lack of accountability and lack of transparency in government.
In New Orleans, Whitney Miller, WWL Louisiana.
Again, 5 inmates still on the run tonight. If you know anything, please call police or Crime Stoppers. We'll continue to keep you updated on the latest right here, as well as on our website and our free TV app.
As balloons were released to honor a 9-year-old lost last week to gun violence, a second person has been arrested.
Now, the mother is sitting down with WWL Louisiana to remember the daughter she loved and shares with our Mike McDaniel about that tragic day.
As pink, purple, and silver balloons drifted into the sky Tuesday evening, on the ground, it's still not easy to let go.
She's brought me more joy than she can even possibly ever have thought of. She don't know how much she's actually done for me in my life as a child.
Letitia Johnson's child, 9-year-old Leilani Brooks, died Friday. Police say she was shot in the head last Monday when a shooting happened near their Algiers home. Johnson was at work that day when she got a call from her mom.
She was hysterical and she was like, get home now.
When she got to their Lawrence Street home, yellow police tape surrounded it.
I seen an ambulance and then I looked at it, it was there, and then the next moment I looked, it was gone.
Did you think that your daughter was in that ambulance?
Not at all.
Johnson rushed to the hospital to find her daughter in critical condition. She was eventually declared brain dead.
The doctors was telling me that they felt like there was nothing they can do for her. I begged every doctor in there to do something.
After 4 days of praying her daughter would survive, Johnson made the painful decision to take Leilani off life support.
I was upset. I was hurt, sad. I felt like, even though I begged the doctors to do the surgery, I still just felt like everything wasn't done to try to save my baby.
Johnson says Leilani was wiser than her years and was like a caregiver to her teenage brother and 2-year-old sister.
Leilani was definitely the backbone to a lot of things that we were as a family.
Leilani was even covering her sister when she was shot. Known to be a girly girl with a bright smile, Johnson says Leilani's short time on this earth will not be forgotten.
Don't forget Leilani. She brought smiles to everybody's faces.
Smiles that help Johnson deal with the grief, but will always be a painful reminder.
I just want her to know I'll never let her name die.
Mike McDaniel, WWL Louisiana.
Millions could see major changes to Social Security benefits. We explain what those checks may soon look like.
President Trump is urging Republicans to unify behind his budget package. We'll have more from Capitol Hill on his message to the GOP as they push to pass the massive bill.
A late May cold front moving in. Don't expect much of a drop in our temperatures. Do expect a better chance for showers.
OTAs beginning for the Saints on Tuesday will introduce you to a rookie linebacker looking to make a quick impact.
As the search continues tonight for multiple men who escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail, we've seen a large scene in the St. Roch neighborhood.
Our Lily Cummings has been there for a while now. It seems like they just cleared that scene. Lily, what's happening behind you?
Yeah, Devin and Charisse, we are seeing Louisiana State Police take off from this scene now. We haven't gotten any notification that they found an inmate in this location, so safe to say that they've cleared this scene for now. I'm going to take a step out of the way to show you exactly what's going on. We do know that they were zeroing in at one point on a house near North Galvez and the Marigny in the St. Roch neighborhood here. They had drones in the air, including a helicopter, but at this point, nothing is in the air. Again, all LSP, FBI, SWAT, NOPD, all officers that we saw that were in this area are now starting to leave. You can still see some of them here to the right that are parked, but they are all getting in their vehicles and starting to leave. Again, they've been pretty prompt tonight with letting us know when they get an inmate. Of course, we were in Slidell tonight, then we made it to Treme, and then that is where they found one of the inmates there in Treme this evening, making that the 5th inmate captured. So at this point, we have not gotten any notification from law enforcement that indicates that they found another inmate here at this location in St. Roch. Of course, we will keep you all notified as soon as we hear from them if anyone has been identified or captured from this scene behind me here in St. Roch. Reporting live, Lily Cummings, WWL Louisiana.
Lily, thank you so much for keeping us updated. Again, 5 inmates are still on the run tonight. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers or police. President Trump laid out plans for a multi-billion-dollar military defense dome today.
Well, that's it for spending the morning on Capitol Hill, working to convince lawmakers to pass what he calls his one big beautiful bill.
CBS News' Erica Brown has the latest tonight from Capitol Hill.
Charisse and Devin, President Trump today announced plans for a Golden Dome missile defense system, while earlier putting pressure on House Republicans to get behind the budget bill that is critical to his agenda. But some Republican holdouts put the bill's passage in doubt. President Trump unveiled plans Tuesday for a Golden Dome missile defense system to shield America from foreign attacks.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space.
The president told reporters in the Oval Office that he hopes to construct the dome before the end of his term. The project is expected to cost $175 billion.
We will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles.
Earlier on Tuesday, President Trump made a rare visit to Capitol Hill, meeting with House Republicans in a bid to rally support to pass his massive budget bill.
I think we have unbelievable unity. I think we're going to get everything we want.
The legislation makes permanent the tax cuts passed during his first term and includes a campaign promise to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime pay. It also increases spending on defense and border security. To offset those cuts, there are federal spending cuts to Medicaid, food stamps, and clean energy subsidies, although the president insists Medicaid will mostly remain intact.
The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. With Medicaid, waste, fraud, and abuse.
The president warned Republicans against opposing the legislation, but his visit failed to sway several holdouts, including lawmakers concerned the spending cuts don't go far enough.
The president called for eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid, and we have not eliminated waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid this bill.
The House Rules Committee will consider this bill overnight, and if it clears that hurdle for a full House vote, a senior White House official says the president made clear today to Republican holdouts that he wants every Republican to vote yes on the measure. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Erica Brown, WWL Louisiana.
And more top national stories you need to know. Many Americans are set to see changes to their Social Security benefits. That includes about 2.8 million retired teachers, firefighters, and police. Now, the changes impact those who receive a public pension that didn't withhold Social Security tax. And you could get anything from a few dollars up to $1,000 more a month. But for retirees who have been getting back more money in overpayments, the Trump administration will now withhold 50% of their benefits. That is until that money is repaid. As the summer travel season approaches, there are some concerns about the economy, but airfares are a little bit lower compared to last year. According to the travel booking app Hopper, the average domestic ticket is $265. That is down 3%, while round-trip flights to Europe average $847, which is 14% lower than last year. And a dangerous storm system brought tornadoes and hail to several states, killing more than a dozen people. A powerful tornado was caught on camera in Oklahoma yesterday. It turned homes inside out and upended vehicles. While Missouri and Kansas were hit hard over the weekend, nearly 30 deaths have been confirmed so far.
Now, that same system is bringing a cold front through here early tomorrow morning, but we are not anticipating severe weather, really not anticipating much rainfall. Right now, still kind of a summer-like feel when late night temperatures are still in the 80s, still have a heat index of almost 90 and dew points in the upper 70s. This is more typical, at least our late nights and early mornings for the summertime. Not quite getting into the summer heat, though we're starting to feel those heat indices in the triple digits. Right now, here's how close some of the storms are getting across Alexandria. That weather is moving south. Now, most model guidance, we'll be watching these, does indicate that they're going to be falling apart, but it is not completely out of the question that we see some of these storms continue down through the Florida parishes in the next couple of hours. Now, as far as the front itself goes, the more southern end that really is going to be impacting much of southeast Louisiana, there isn't much rainfall along that boundary at all. Temperatures are in the upper 70s and low 80s as we're looking at, with dew points in the mid and upper 70s. So there is still somewhat of a heat index because your body is just not able to cool down. So it still feels like almost 90. Now, behind our front tomorrow, we are going to briefly, and I mean for just several hours, have a lower dew point feel more in the 60s, mid 60s south shore, and then lower 60s north of the lake. This is not going to last for very long as moisture starts coming right back up by tomorrow evening. So the morning still kind of a muggy feel. During the day, it'll feel a little bit more comfortable as we have a north wind. Then it looks like we'll almost immediately start to see that return flow coming back in from the Gulf. What will really help us out temperature-wise over the next couple of days will be the additional clouds and scattered showers. That will lead to the milder temperatures, and by milder I mean upper 80s, not exactly a big drop in temperature nor in humidity, and really that, as I was just showing you, is not going to last for very long. Heat will continue as well as the high humidity through our Memorial Day weekend, but dry Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When we get the rainfall back, maybe on Monday, Memorial Day itself. Now, thankfully, this upper energy is staying well to our north. This would be what triggers all of the severe weather. If it moved a little farther south, we would definitely have a risk of some severe weather. That is ongoing across areas to our north and then shifting toward the east coast as we head into the day tomorrow. The front itself may trigger some storms. Notice this model doesn't have those storms that are around the Alexandria area, so we'll see if they're able to hold together as they push south. During the day tomorrow, a fairly dry, cold frontal passage. Cold front just because there's the only type of front we have, not exactly colder air with it. But because of the front still near the coast or possibly right still over us, may still have a few showers ongoing during the afternoon and even early evening. Front starts moving back over us as a warm front on Thursday, which is why those dew points start coming back up almost immediately. And that front may also trigger a few spotty to scattered showers. So I'm going to keep the rain chance at around 40% tomorrow, especially south of the lake, around a 30% chance during the day on Thursday. We are hot but dry Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Memorial Day may be our best chance of rain at around 50%.
in Metairie Tuesday. This was the first of 10 voluntary practices before mandatory minicamp in June. We won't get our first peek into OTAs until Thursday, but one rookie linebacker is hoping to add some juice to the linebacker room. If there's one word that describes Saints linebacker Danny Stutzman, it's energy.
At the end of the day, I'm blessed to be here in New Orleans. There's no other place I'd rather be. This is a great Houdat nation. I'm excited.
Stutzman brings the juice to New Orleans from Oklahoma, where he led the Sooners in tackles each of the last 3 seasons.
This year across the middle, it's intercepted.
As a senior, he was a Butkus Award finalist, which goes to the best linebacker in the country. All of that production was under head coach Brent Venables, one of the premier defensive minds in football.
I'd say every single day, that's kind of how he operates, is always trying to prepare you to be a pro. You got to prepare like before you're there. So when you're here, you're not treading water, you're swimming. And so that kind of went with everything that he did. In his mind, if you weren't prepared for every single situation, you weren't prepared at all. And so it's been that same mindset transition to the next level.
Learning from Venables should help Stutzman's crash course into the NFL. His first teacher in the league will be new Saints defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, who is expected to implement a 3-4 defense this offseason. Stutzman is excited for the challenge.
It's exciting, at Oklahoma, I kind of had that system down, and I like to be uncomfortable. So, learning a new system, it really challenges you to try and get it down as fast as possible. So it gets me pumped in the morning. I'm like, all right, I got to learn something new today. I'm going to make mistakes. It happens, and you just got to eliminate that from that repetition of happening. But Coach Staley's it's been awesome learning from him. Like I said before, he just has so much knowledge that he has, and his defensive schemes when he's been defensive coordinator have been elite. And so I just want to keep trying to get better and better, and then communicate and be a leader on that defense.
It's going to be a pass, it's going to be an opportunity, and you got to seize it.
As a 4th-round pick, Stutzman understands he'll have to earn his stripes in the linebacker room behind veterans like Demario Davis and Pete Werner. But his top priority right now is staying fresh and letting his work speak for itself.
At the end of the day, you're a professional now. You got to do everything you can. You got to take care of yourself. Right now, my body's, it's the money. So you got to do whatever you can, just stay on top of everything, and you can't get distracted. You just got to add value every single day.
It was wheels up for Loyola baseball Tuesday as they traveled to Lewiston, Idaho in pursuit of a national championship. In the long history of the Wolfpack, this is their first time ever reaching the NAIA World Series. The path for the Pack begins with number 3 Tennessee Wesleyan on Friday at 5 p.m. The World Series is just the latest part of this magical run for Loyola, as they also won the SSAC for the first time. The Wolfpack hadn't won a conference title in 23 years. One of the main ingredients to this winning recipe is the local flavor, as 24 players on the roster were recruited between New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
We have a lot of guys that grew up together, that played, whether in high school or summer ball teams or whatever, that have known each other since they were little kids. And I think when you have a connection like that, it helps. And I think having guys that have some pride in being from this area and also have accountability with each other and just want another day with their buddy playing ball, I think that matters.
That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
It looks a little busy on the camera.
I feel like we talk about that every single time.
We do.
Every
Every
single
time.
You know you're getting old. We go down. It's 10:30 at night on a Tuesday.
Everybody's outside.
People just excited to walk down the street with their drinks.
That's so true. It's a privilege.
They are. That's what they're excited about.
Blissfully unaware of the
It's not a real
headlines.
place, New Orleans.
Continue with us on WWL Plus. Download on your TV and